Hanging out with Nebraska head coach Matt Rhule. You're walking around telling everybody you didn't come to Nebraska to go 7-6, but those were steps along the way to your ultimate goal. What is the next step, and how do you get there?
You know, when I worked at the Giants, I remember I went in for an interview with Tom Coughlin, which is not an easy interview, by the way. And I remember him telling me, like, the goal at the Giants every year is to come down the stretch competing to go to the playoffs and win the Super Bowl. Like, he understood that maybe we couldn't do that every year, win the Super Bowl. But, you're in New York, you need to be relevant. And we're at Nebraska, we need to be relevant. And so very proud of what our guys have done getting to this point, getting kind of embracing some of the things that hadn't happened. But we want to get in the CFP. We want to go compete in that party. And so we've got to make that next step.
You're trying to get to the CFP. The CFP might come to you. Do you like the idea of 24 teams?
I do. I kind of have two bases for that. I was at Penn State in 1997 when we had a great team. We beat Oregon 38-6 in the Rose Bowl and went undefeated and didn't win the national championship. In fact, Nebraska won it. And I'm sorry, 1994, excuse me. And so, I kind of have that perspective of hey, I think things are better settled on the field. And I think about my time in the NFL. You can turn on a game late in the season. It could be a team that's 13-3 or 12-4, whatever, playing a team that's not very good, but they're playing for home field advantage. They're playing to make the wild card. They're playing to have the bye. And so I just think the access into the playoffs expanding makes the regular season actually better. You're watching teams late in the year. You're watching two teams that are 7-4. They're battling to get in. You're watching two teams that are 11-1. They're fighting for a 10-1. They're fighting for a bye. They're fighting for a home game. And so I think it'd be cool. I love it the way it is, but if we grow it, I think it'd be even better.
Because you seem to be someone who embraces some of the changes that we're seeing across the board in the sport.
Yeah, I mean, like who's ever been successful by just holding on to the past? When I hear people say, "Well, this is how we used to do it," I'm like, well, AI just passed you by. I just think life is about embracing what's next and trying to always be on the cutting edge of it and being ahead of it of the curve. And so, a lot of changes have happened, and I think too many of us spend too much time talking about what's wrong. There's so much that's right. Now, there's things that are wrong that we have to fix, but let's embrace it. Let's talk really great about our sport because college football is amazing. And I don't care if it's Division III, Williams College. It's amazing. It changes lives. It changes communities. Let's embrace that.
No community bigger, right, than,
no doubt,
than Nebraska. What is so unique about Saturdays in Lincoln?
Well, I think it's pretty cool. And I'm going to answer your question, I'm sorry. But my wife and daughters went and watched our volleyball team play in front of 91,000 fans. We went down to see Coach Hoiberg and the Huskers this year in the Sweet 16 and watched just people pour in from everywhere. The way that Nebraska sports, and then obviously on game day Saturdays, the way that an entire state that spans 6 hours, that spans 2 time zones, comes together, and it means so much to everyone there. It's humbling. You feel the burden of that, not in a bad way, but in a great way. These people are counting on us to go out and represent them in a really cool way. And then we have nothing but great traditions, a great home field atmosphere. It's really cool to be a part of.
And another tradition there is the walk-ons that come from Nebraska, stay in Nebraska. Luke Lindenmire was one of them sitting here just a few minutes ago. How have you been able to continue that in this modern era where it's not just scholarships that kids are getting?
Yeah. And I think everyone kind of thought that with NIL coming in and money coming in and then rev share and then roster limits, that walk-ons would go away. But I think what we've seen is the market's so high that you can't pay everybody. There's some stories out there that we pay everyone the same. You can't do that. So you need guys that want to walk on. And I love, honestly, when I think about my career and the coaches that I've loved being around the most, or what makes me tick, it's the fact that I was a walk-on. I love players that are paying their own way to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning and have someone yell at them. It makes no sense to me, but I did it. And I walked into the Penn State football facility every day, grateful to be there. And, it would be a shame if college football lost that. Seeing Luke Lindenmire stand here as an all Big Ten honorable mention player last year, as a guy that should win some awards this year, in my opinion. He started as a walk-on. He had so much belief in himself and love of the Huskers that he came there. He stayed. And now here he is at Media Day.
He seems to take a lot of pride in A, having been a 0-star rated player and being called only a blocking tight end. What did you see?
It's really funny how he has developed over time, because he was there when I got there, and they were kind of using him as a fullback, and then early on played him some. And I have to give a lot of credit to Dana Holgerson. When Dana got there, midway through our second year, he was like, "This is a guy we need to play more," and he saw Luke's versatility. A lot of tight ends, they can block or they can run routes, but Luke can get open. He can catch the football. He can run after the catch, and he can block. And so Dana saw that, and it's why good head coaches have great coordinators, because he made that right, and Luke's done nothing but prove us right since then.
Speaking of coordinators, whole new look on defense now.
Yeah.
4-2-5.
Yep. I'm really excited about it. When I was at Temple, when I was at Baylor, and when I was in the NFL, Phil Snow was my defensive coordinator for that entire time. I never had to think about anything on defensively. Like I was a GA for Phil at UCLA, so I knew him through and through. And got to Nebraska, and Tony White brought the 3-3-5, and we went from 100 and something on defense in the run against the run to the top 10. And Tony did a great job for 2 years. Then he left, and last year, we were good but not great. We took a step back, and so as I started thinking about hey, who do I want? I didn't even care about the scheme. It was who was going to get the most out of their players, who was going to develop players, who was going to recruit at a high level, who was going to teach technique and fundamentals and playing defense the right way. And I interviewed some guys, but I watched Rob's tape at San Diego State, and man, his guys, they play football with passion and would play it with energy. So we made the call, we hired him, and everything I've seen so far is exciting.
And then on the offensive side, Dylan Raiola transfers out. TJ Lateef had a strong campaign for himself. You also brought in 3 quarterbacks via the portal on the same day. So how's that congealing?
Yeah. Well, quarterback is a really unique position in all of pro sports. When I was in Carolina, Tom Brady was in Tampa Bay. You want to talk about bad beats? I take that job, and Tom goes to Tampa Bay. But he's 44 years old, and he wins the Super Bowl as a quarterback. Sports don't even make contact with each other. They guys phase out, in their 20s and their 30s. But football is such a cognitive game. It's seeing things, it's reacting, it's processing. It's so much that experience matters. And so we loved what TJ did, and we believe that TJ's a starting quarterback in Power 5 football, Power 4 football, and the sky's the limit. I love what he's done. But we also went out and got some experience, and we got Anthony Calandri to come in, and just when I met him, he just had a different vibe about him. He's played so much football, started so many games, so much experience. And then we went and got Danny Kalin from Virginia, who was a Husker at one point, left and came back. And so we have a quarterback room with 3 guys who started a game last year. But I'm excited about Anthony and what he can do.
I want to go back to your playing days one more time. You're at Penn State as a walk-on, and we're asking everybody this. What was your welcome to college football moment?
So, back in the day, Penn State, we practiced, and there were 4 drills going because there was 125 guys on the team. And so I was a linebacker, and I get to the season, get to the scout team. They're like, "Hey, you need to play center, snap the ball," because they had one scout team offensive line that was all 4-star, 5-star recruits that were redshirting, and they had one offensive line of just guys. And so I remember walking in one day, and I'm playing center on the scout team. And, I think Vince Stewart was our nose tackle. It was 330 pounds. And I was sick. I showed up at 10 o'clock. I had 103 temperature. I was like, "Doc, I don't feel good." He's like, "Well, Matt, the medical meeting with Coach Paterno was at 7 a.m., so if you can't make it to practice day, you have to go tell Coach Paterno." And there's no way I was doing that. So I remember going out and practicing with 103-degree temperature, strep throat, and I'm blocking 320-pound Vince Stewart, and I got through that day. And you know how stories grow as you get older. When guys tell me they're sick, I'm like, "Let me tell you about the time I had 105 degrees." But it was at that point when I realized, and I think it makes you a good coach, that football is hard. You can't be comfortable. You have to go out there and compete and practice every single day. When you're sick, when you don't feel well, when things aren't going your way. And I went from being the center on the scout team to playing in a ton of games my junior and senior year, and I think it was moments like that where you had to just kind of suck it up that kind of made me who I am.
He blew you up pretty good?
Every day he destroyed me, but certainly that day.
But that day you coughed on him.
That's right. He was sick for a week. He forced me to push my limits and go places I never thought I could go.
That's what we need. That's what we need. You slimmed down though.
Yeah, I started last year, and it's a daily grind, but it's kind of fun for me. Getting in the weight room with the guys, I don't do the workout they do, but they kind of walk over and they see me doing my planks and my jumping jacks and all those things. But I expect this year to be a great year, and I love the future at Nebraska, and I want to be healthy and vibrant and running around the practice field, and I want to be coaching out there like I was coaching at Western Carolina when I was 24 years old.
Good deal. Good luck, Coach.
Thanks, my
Great
friend.
to have you. Good to see you again.